In this video, I'll give you a very broad and basic understanding of measurement, which is probably one of the smallest sections of the syllabus. And so what we have is a whole bunch of formulas, and you can probably find this very easily just on the internet. But just to talk through them here, I'd say one of the most common ones that you need to learn off by heart is the cylinder. So you've got pi r squared, which is the area at the bottom, and once I times it by the height, I have the volume of a cylinder. The other part of this formula is the surface area, which is 2 pi r squared, because that's the circle at the top and the bottom, plus 2 pi r h, which is the circumference all the way around, and that gives you this part of the area. Then another concept is a prism is just any shape that looks the same at the top and the bottom and is joined by a height. And so I think of like a Toblerone bar, this rectangular prism here. So all you're doing for that is just the area at the bottom shape, and once I times it by the height, I've now got the volume. And the other thing is that if you're wanting the surface area for something maybe a bit more complicated, like a cone down here or a pyramid, is the surface area will always be the height on the outside of the shape. And so they talk about the slant height. And so if I look at a cone, if I'm needing the surface area, I'm going to have to at some point work out the slant height, because that will give me the area, a length on the outside. Whereas if I'm dealing with volume, then that's typically the height right into the middle of the shape. They call it the perpendicular height. So surface area's got to do with the slant height, the outside height. Volume's got to do with the height in the middle. And then other than that, the only last thing to look out for is you might get these formulas in an exam. You might be given them. You might learn these ones from here. But you need to just have a bit of extra awareness for things like this, where you've got the surface area of a cone formula here, but when they pop a sphere on top, suddenly you don't have this area at the top of the cone anymore, because you've got a hemisphere on top. And so you need to adapt the formula. And so just look out for instances where you have two shapes stuck or put together and you lose aspects of the original formula that you had. The other thing is just to look out for if you've got something like this that says this is 20 centimeters and the height of the entire shape is 1.5 meters. It's really important to get things into the same units, and so you'd want to call this 150 meters, 150 centimeters. And so if this radius of the hemisphere is 20 centimeters, then that means this little bit of height would be 20 centimeters. That means that the leftover height, if the whole thing is 150 centimeters, would just be 130 centimeters for the inside height. So look and make sure that you've got the same units of measurement. And then the last thing is, if they give me the volume and they say this can of Coke is 340 mils, which is milliliters, which is what we're used to. 1 milliliter converts perfectly to 1 centimeter cubed. And so you'd want to start with this question of a Coke can is 340 milliliters into converting it into 340 centimeters cubed, because maybe the measurements for the rest of the can are all in centimeters. And I hope that gives you a great introduction to measurement and area and volume. If you found this helpful, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your friends. Thanks.